you're gonna break into. Crazy love, you got me worried. I don't know why you make me blue. Every time I call your telephone line, I gotta stop and hang up on you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good evening, good morning, good day. No. Take two. I said take two, damn it. Good morning, good day, good evening. Is that what I say every day? I don't know. Anyway, don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cats Nationwide, luxury transportation service. You're looking for a limo, and you're someplace in the United States. What am I have the? I better reboot or something. If you're, let's start over. If you're looking for a limo and you're someplace in the United States or even Canada, and you happen to want a really hot driver driving you around, then you need to give my girl Cat a call. 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Cats Nationwide, luxury transportation service. Tell her Billy C. sent you. But just don't forget, she's my girl. Or just remember. The hell did somebody put in my coffee today? A couple of, whatevers. The show is also being brought to you in part by Camp Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble, and that is Camp Aaron Tomkovich. Give him a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. The show is also being brought to you in part by my friends. Yeah, one or two of them down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you like cool people to hang with, if you like drink specials, and if you like live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights, and if you like fantastic food, and if you like to have some Billy C. hot sauce, if you like all those things, or even one of them, swing by the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls, and if Craig is there, you're in luck. You can try the hot sauce. If you want to call ahead and make a reservation, knock yourself out. 518-792-4869. 518-792-4869. And don't forget, we're going to be doing that new show in the new year. And the reason why I'm bringing it up right now is because I told my man, Craig, down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, I said, you know what? Bet Washington Redskins against those Giants tonight. This was last night, and he's going, what? He says, you're kidding me. The Giants, look what they did to Green Bay. So I'm telling you, Washington's going to win. In case you're wondering, they did by 1 point, but it didn't matter. They won. A win's a win. Give Halftime Bar and Grill a call, 518-792-4869. And the show is being brought to you in part by Ringside.com. That's right. For all your boxing equipment needs, there's only one place to go, and that is Ringside.com. Make sure you mention Billy C. Demand a Billy C. discount. And for all you trainers or even gym owners, make sure you drop me an email, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll get you even a bigger and better discount on your order. So anyway, busy show schedule. You know, I never told you guys what the Blast from the Past is going to be tomorrow. When we do the Blast from the Past, I've chosen one of my favorite fighters, man. One of my favorite fighters, one of the most underrated fighters of all time. One of the most unknown fighters. I know you guys know who he is because we've been cramming it down your throat. Charlie Burley. That's right. The only guy that Sugar Ray Robinson publicly said he would not fight. Now, there's some reasons behind that. You know, and you know, people are always saying, oh, well, so-and-so is afraid to fight, you know, who's-you-ma-call-it and what's his face, you know. And, you know, the bottom line is, you know, a fighter, make no mistake, anybody, and I don't care if the guy never won a professional fight in his life, anyone that decides to get in the ring to fight, even amateurs, trust me when I tell you, they're not afraid of anybody. It's not about being afraid of somebody. There's other reasons. There's other reasons why someone might choose not to fight. Now, me, personally, you know, fighters I work with and fighters that I want to work with or potential clients or what have you, I want them to want to fight anybody, you know, and then let us make the decision on who and when and where and all that happy stuff. You know, once the fighter starts saying, well, I'm not ready for him or you know, that's not good enough yet or whatever, then you got a problem. Unless you know who calls all your own shots, then it's a different story. But for somebody that you know, is actually letting, you know, a knowledgeable person manage them, or even if they're not knowledgeable, you know, if they're letting somebody else manage them, they got to make that. They're going to let the management make the decision, I guess, or whoever, advisor, whatever. So with that said, you know, there were reasons that Sugar Ray Robinson did not want to fight Charlie Burley, and being afraid of him wasn't one of them. Now, Charlie Burley was a guy that Sugar Ray Robinson didn't want to fight. Maybe he was afraid he was going to lose. He wasn't afraid of him, the man. But Charlie Burley also had a tendency to make you look bad, no matter what. No matter how good you were, he had a tendency to make you look bad. And I think that was the main reason. But nonetheless, he publicly said, I don't want any part of Charlie Burley. No part of Charlie Burley. So we'll be talking about Charlie Burley tomorrow on the when we do our little blast from the past segment with Alex P. That's right, Alex P. You know, yesterday I told you guys about us doing the post-fight show after Manny Pacquiao and Juan Marquez or Juan Manuel, whatever. We're doing another show. We're doing I just found out, actually, this morning that we're going to be doing another show Friday night from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's New York time, man. 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Immediately following the weigh-ins, we're probably going to have Tony Treem give us a report from the weigh-in or someone else. So make sure you mark that down. Tune in on Fight Now TV or BillyCBoxing.com. And check that out. We'll be doing a quick weigh-in report leading up to the Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez fight. So mark that one down. We're starting to get some add some other programming as well as keep your eyes peeled on the BillyCBoxing.com website. for some other news and announcements. Listen, I received several emails about my column that I did not post yet. Yes, I know I promised they would always be up on Sunday. This Sunday was a little crazy for me, so I apologize for that. It's not up yet, and hopefully it'll be up sometime today, tomorrow, maybe even next week. I don't know, but it's a good one. It's about my opinion of why, because that's the name of the column. Billy C's, in my opinion, why promoters don't promote anymore, and what the ramifications are in the sport of boxing. And by the way, listen, I know that I am negative sometimes about things. I saw the title. I saw the title on the YouTube version of our show yesterday. The title is because I said it, I guess, during the show. But the title of the YouTube clip, the title of the YouTube version of the show yesterday is Kevin Johnson's a gutless fraud. One of these days I'm going to be taking a leak in the bathroom, and someone's going to go, "Hey, are you Billy C?" Yeah, I'm Billy C. Ba-bam! Next thing I know, I'm going to be like, "What happened?" Oh, Kevin Johnson wanted to say hello. Oh, I see. But anyway, yeah. Sometimes I could be negative, but the truth of the matter is that I try to be as positive as I can about boxing, and nothing for nothing, and I've been saying this the last couple of days. We're clearly in a resurgence in boxing, and if you go back, I don't know how long of a fan you've been. Forget about the old timers like me. I mean, it's hard for us to, really put in perspective what we're seeing now because we have so much to compare it to. But when you compare over the last, let's say, 10 years, we're clearly in a resurgence, man. If you go back to 2000, things weren't that great, and they started getting a little better. But this year has been pretty good when you really come down and look at it carefully, break it down, see what kind of fights we have, see what kind of fights we got left, and see what's scheduled for early next year. I mean, it's just keeping better, getting better. One of the things I think you're going to enjoy about my new article in the column is going to be one of the problems that we have with the way boxing is set up right now with two major promoters calling all the shots, and that's the only prevention of other fights that we may or may not see. Hey, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got a couple of emails to read. I got some news. We had some fights that took place last night. We got a fight that's going to be taking place momentarily because it's in Japan, and with the time difference, it's like tomorrow there, yesterday.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
And we're back. You are listening to Twisted Sister's version of Let It Snow. I told you we were going to be playing some Christmas music. I know I'm a week off, but anyway, in case you forgot, you're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching a replay on LDL TV, maybe, or maybe YouTube, or maybe BillyCBoxing.com. I don't know, whatever. We got a busy show lined up for you, as usual, so make sure you stick around. We got some other, we definitely got some other Christmas stuff coming up in between. We're not going to get too crazy with it because I get all of these license warnings every place that it goes up in the podcast up here. Oh, you got a license warning. Oh, did you pay for that? Come on. Anyway. We got some emails. We get these going. We got some fight results. We got some people in the chat room. We got all kinds of things going on. I got some updates on Fight Now that we're going to be telling you about Fight Week. Big, extensive coverage going on Fight Now TV coming up this week for the big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. Numero cuatro. But anyway, Biggerback says, I know you hate Joe Cortez. Hate's such a strong word. Yeah, you're right. He says, but for a lot of reasons, here's one more. Listen, what I don't like about him, hate's a strong word, man. I hate Floyd, but, Joe Cortez, the problem with Joe is that he wasn't a good referee. That's the problem, man. And people put him, it's a shame that we can't just be judged by our performance. At your job, aren't you judged by your performance, or at least you would hope you are, right? Really, in life, you should be judged by your performance. I don't think, there's people that are doers, and there's people that want to just skate. And I'm not saying Joe Cortez was a skater or anything. I don't know if he ever put on a pair of skates in his life. But anyway, the bottom line is this. He couldn't referee, man. I don't think so. I'm glad he's not refereeing anymore. I think it's. I wouldn't have even been negative about the guy if they wouldn't have stuck him on Showtime and they have him. Hey Joe, spit out the gravel, man. Spit out the gravel, Joe. And then try to make an intelligent statement from the question that we're going to ask you. Just try. We know there's a brain in there somewhere, Joe. Oh, there's not? Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, give me another reason, Biggerback. He says he robbed Marquez of a clean knockdown against Scott Norwood. I said Scott Norwood. He's saying Norwood, which cost him. Scott Norwood was forget it. Another Norwood, which cost him an already controversial decision. Anyway, I wish Showtime should bring back Tarver. If not, then Mark Johnson. Literally, everyone knew they brought in doesn't do much, and that includes Ronaldo, Paulie, and Trout. None of them did that well. I wouldn't mind if only Bernstein and Farhood stay and the rest leave. Ronaldo is awful. I don't get it. Listen, when Gus Johnson was there, right? Come on. Who led the cheers with Gus Johnson? Being crazy. I know I did, but Gus Johnson toned it down. After we blasted him on this show, about yelling at us, he's doing his blow by blow, and he's like yelling at us. It's like it's bad enough you're watching the fight and you're like, oh geez, I don't want the commentator yelling at me. I get enough people yelling at me. I don't need the guy on TV to be yelling at me. So. But he toned it down after that, and it was okay. Listen, to have energy is a lot different than yelling and screaming at your audience, And I think that he started to control it. And, I thought he was doing an okay job. I didn't love him or anything, but I thought he was doing an okay job. Al Bernstein is the best. But what about Barry Tompkins? Barry Tompkins does a fantastic job. Fantastic. And he's with Showtime. I agree with Biggerback. Steve Farhood is solid, very solid. And I'm not just saying that because he's a fellow New Yorker. But, he's solid. As far as Ronaldo, terrible. He's almost as bad as Gus was when he first came in. But Gus at least had a a more persuasive way of delivering his message. Ronaldo is just, I think he's out of his element. I don't know. I don't even know where he came from. I never saw him before. As far as Paulie Malignaggi, Paulie, although he's doing a good job technically, I don't like former fighters, or even in this case a current fighter, that is constantly comparing the question of if somebody says, well, what can so-and-so do now, Paulie? To give us an analysis of what, the perspective of a former or current fighter is. Paulie has a tendency to compare the fighters to his own self. And he also really dropped in value, in my opinion, this past week when he referred to himself as an elite fighter. And he's anything but an elite fighter. The only other hang-up I have with Paulie, I mean, his delivery is okay and everything, but the only other hang-up I have with him is, when the camera's on him, he has a dumb look about him. I don't know, maybe I do too, maybe everybody does. To me, he just, he's got this, like there's not a brain in his head. It's sort of like Joe Cortez, except I think brains are, available in Paulie Malignaggi's head. So I don't know. I think he does a good job. I think if he stops referring to himself, I think he'll do okay. But all in all, no matter how you slice and dice it, I agree with Biggerback. Antonio Tarver was fantastic. And the thing is about Antonio Tarver is it's a shame that what took place, with him being ousted and stuff like that because of the steroids. It's a shame. And we had said this on the show even before there were any kind of steroid allegations or use or testing or anything. That when he kept fighting, I'm like, why is Antonio Tarver still fighting? I go back and play the shows if you're a premium podcast subscriber, and listen, because you'll see, or we said it many times. We're like, listen, this guy's got a future, man. He's got a great future. He does listen. Antonio Tarver did a great job. He would break it down. He was dead on all the time. Never referred to himself as some superstar. Never compared himself. The only time he ever got a little vocal was with Latif Coyote, and I don't necessarily disagree with what he was saying, So I agree with Biggerback. I think the broadcast is missing Antonio Tarver, and with that said, I'm going to throw another kudos out to Lennox Lewis. I thought Lennox Lewis did a good job. So Roy Jones Jr. doesn't do that great of a job. Although he wasn't bad in his last time out, he doesn't. So as far as Showtime, I agree with you. Al Bernstein's the best. I would personally like Bernstein, Barry Tompkins, and Farhood. If you got three guys, I mean, there's three right there. You don't need Paulie. You don't need that. That deer in the headlight look. That's Paulie Malignaggi when the camera's on him. But anyway. I got an email from my man Alex T., the other Alex. He says, Bill, George Chuvalo, do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame? I go back and forth on this one. He's still the greatest heavyweight from Canada, in my opinion. Sorry, Lennox, you're not Canadian. There's a lot of Lennox Lewis, I don't know. I forget. Was he born in Canada and then went to the UK, or was he born in England and then lived in Canada? Because I know he was a kid and he was in the amateurs as a Canadian. So, he was in Kitchener, Ontario, where I did several shows and stuff out there. So, so I don't know. I forget the skinny on that one. But he says he's got some great wins over quality names. But he's got he has lost most of the fights against the top guys in his day. Now he's referring to George Chuvalo. He says, for my money, he had the greatest chin of all time. He never got knocked out. He never got knocked off his feet and fought a virtual murderer's row of boxing's top heavyweights during the 60s and 70s. A few names on his long resume are as follows. He beat guys like Cleveland Williams, Jerry Quarry, Doug Jones, Yvonne Devell, 73 wins in total. And his losses are to Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Jimmy Ellis, Floyd Patterson, Buster Mathis, Oscar Bonavina, 18 total. And he also had some early in his career that he avenged. I'll get to it in a second. He says, I think his finest moment was his first fight with Muhammad Ali, where Chuvalo really gave Ali a much tougher fight than anyone expected. What do you think? That's a tough question about that. And the Hall of Fame, it's crazy because you would think that the Hall of Fame in other sports, right? In other sports, what seems to be the deciding factor now in football, if you look at NFL football, American football, for all my European listeners, you win a Super Bowl as a quarterback and you're in. There are quarterbacks that didn't win Super Bowls that are in the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame. But pretty much, if you win a Super Bowl, you're going to get in as a quarterback. In baseball, there's certain plateaus that you reach that kind of get you in. Other sports are similar. When you start talking about boxing, how do we say, well, if a guy was a champion, he gets in? Not now when the champions are diluted. You do have to look at some of these fighters that, came at a time when the division was so chock full. I mean, if we look at George Chuvalo today, and just like we say, well, you can only base a fighter on who he fought, make sure he didn't duck anybody or anything like that during his career, and if he fought everybody available to him. But what about the case of George Chuvalo that haven't have been around when arguably the best crop of heavyweights, at least in modern era that we know of, were kind of roaming the earth, and this was a guy that had to fight them all. Hold that thought. I got his record. We'll take a look at him and see what you think. But all of that's coming up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I
would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple tries to stop.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. I'm glad you could join us. I want to welcome the Fight Now audience swinging by like they do Monday through Friday from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you're missing a great week leading up to the big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. So if I were you, I'd call your local television provider, whether it's satellite dish or cable, and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Fight Now, just a reminder, we're going to be doing a post-fight show about 15 minutes after the final decision or knockout is rendered. Safe bet is 1 a.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you tune in right here on Fight Now after the Pacquiao-Marquez fight on Saturday night. But guess what? We're going to be doing a special show. I just found out that on Friday from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that's New York time, right exclusively. I borrowed a page from the pronunciation from Joe Cortez's book. Exclusively on Fight Now TV, you can check out a show that we're going to be doing a half hour after the weigh-in from 6:37 p.m. That's p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. So make sure you tune it in right here. So before we went to break, we're talking about George Chuvalo. And, should he be in a Hall of Fame? Should he be in our Hall of Fame, in the Boxing Hall of Fame? Alex T. Wants to know. And when you look at Hall of Fame and who should get in and who shouldn't, I think in a nutshell, right? And I know, now listen, I don't want to hear any crap because I know this is going to be like, okay, Captain Obvious. But the truth of the matter is this, and as silly as it sounds, doesn't it like hit home? Shouldn't the best fighters, and in our case, we're talking about boxing. So shouldn't the best fighters in the history of the sport be in the Hall of Fame? Isn't that a place where we're supposed to showcase the best fighters? Now, of course the answer is yes. But now the tricky part comes. How do you do it? How do you distinguish it? Like I said earlier, before we went to break, in football, you can say, and I'm not saying it's right, but if you win a Super Bowl in NFL, as a quarterback, you're going to get in. If you do something good in the Super Bowl, you're going to get in. If you're with a losing team and you're a superstar for your whole career, unless you're really, really good, it's tough. Well, I don't think that boxing today, now if we went back into the history of the sport, 40 years ago when there was one champion, 30 years ago there was one champion, and this champion, reigns for a while. Yeah, I believe that is justified, even if it's a contender. A top contender. Now, when you look at contention, world contention, when George Chuvalo was active, he was in the top 10 most of the time that he was fighting all these guys. And oh, by the way, there were only 10. There were only 10 top 10 guys. You weren't looking at, today we pick maybe 4 or 5 sanctioning bodies. Every one of them have top 10 ranked fighters, in this case, heavyweights. Now, of course, there are some that are ranked in multiple sanctioning bodies, but there are others that are not. Based on the alliance they have with that sanctioning body, they may be ranked in one sanctioning body and not another. So conceivably, you could have 40 or even 50 top 10 fighters. That was not the case with George Chuvalo. Being top 10 in the world, being number 10 in the world was something, man. That was something. Number 10 now just means who? We don't even look at it anymore. Yesterday we were talking about elimination fights. You have elimination fights now. It used to be an eliminator for the champion, right? You have an elimination fight and then the winner fights a champ, right? Well, then they incorporated the interim belt, which is kind of like a number one contender in my opinion. Interim belt is just a number one contender. It used to be a belt that was given to a fighter because the champion couldn't defend his belt, maybe due to injury, maybe due to some trouble, whatever. But the bottom line is once that fighter was able to fight again, then he would go and fight that interim titleist, and you would have that one champion again. But that's all changed. It seems now like the interim titleist is the number one contender. But no, wait. Because now we even have elimination bouts to fight the interim champion, and we just saw that we had an elimination bout to fight to be the second guy in line. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Back to George Chuvalo. This is a guy that was in the top 10 forever. Who did he fight? Well, who didn't he fight between the 60s and 70s, like Alex T says? You look at guys that he lost and then, avenged that loss. Decent fighters. Bob Clearox was one of them, Canadian fighter. Yvonne Durrell, which Alex mentioned. Yes, he fought Ernie Terrell and lost to him. Zora Foley lost to him. He did beat big fighters, big name fighters like Doug Jones was in there against Floyd Patterson. The bottom line is you look at the fighters that he lost to, they were all the big names: Oscar Bonavina, Muhammad Ali, Ernie Terrell, Floyd Patterson, Zora Foley, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, of course, I mentioned him. I think Jimmy Ellis he lost to. When you look at this guy's record, and considering that he had 73 wins, 64 of them coming by knockout, 18 losses, and on the record books, it's stated as 2 stoppage losses. But remember, they were TKO stoppages. The guy was never off his feet. So when you go back and you name those same names again, it's easy to look at a record. It's easy to look at a video clip. Well, hey, it's easy to look at a video clip. Go watch a video clip of George Chuvalo and let me know what you think. But it's easy to look at a printout and say, look, he's got 18 losses. He can't be that good. And anytime he stepped it up and he fought a world-class fighter like Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, et cetera, he lost, right? But it's the way he lost. He went the distance. Just like Alex said, in the first Ali fight, he gave Ali all he could handle. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I think fighters like George Chuvalo are an important part of the sport. Without George Chuvalo, would we have Muhammad Ali? That's a question, and I don't mean that. Physically, would we have Muhammad Ali? But didn't George Chuvalo? Shouldn't he get some of the credit with the formation and the popularization of a guy like Muhammad Ali? Of course, he beat Sonny Liston and all the other fighters he beat and stuff. Sonny Liston was the one he won the title from, but and of course the epic fights against Frazier and Foreman. But what about the road to those fights? They had to go through George Chuvalo. Interesting point. And I will say this about George Chuvalo today, at 70-something years old. So he was born in 1937, right? So he's in his mid-70s now, right? So a guy that's in his mid-70s, I met him several times, and let me tell you this, a 70-plus guy, you think to yourself, is an old man, right? Let me say this: if you were standing next to George Chuvalo right now, and you thought that you could kick his ass, I'd be impressed. Because this guy still looks like he can throw a good old can of whoop ass on somebody, So I don't know. Great question from Alex T, the original Alex T. I think that he should be in Hall of Fame. I do. I think that a guy like him, a guy who fought the names that we just named, and stayed on his feet throughout his whole career. And the longevity of his career, he was around, considering the style that he fought. He made his pro debut in 1956 and continued fighting all the way up to almost 1980. He fought to 1978. So, he was around for a long time. Was a Canadian heavyweight champion, fought for the world heavyweight title a few times, came up short. But, I will say this about George Chuvalo, and I truly believe it. If he were around today, active as a fighter, he clearly would have a belt. Unfortunately, you can't do that. There's no time machine. So, great question. Personally, I think he should. I think his contribution to the sport of boxing deserves to be preserved in the Hall of Fame. And isn't that what it's all about, really? It sounded stupid when I said, only the best end up in the Hall of Fame. But don't you want to take certain members of the boxing fraternity and put them in the Hall of Fame to preserve what they brought to the sport? Another safe assumption is any fighter that changed the sport in a positive way that influenced boxing in some way, shape, or form to make it better or to gain more following or whatever, any positive twist on it, should be remembered and preserved in the Boxing Hall of Fame. That's my opinion. But anyway, hey, listen, man, I want to give a shout out. I forgot, and I want to take the blame that my man Devon, he just turned 10 years old. And I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. I know he watches the show and stuff. And Devon, man, I'm sorry I dropped the ball. No, I know it's a belated birthday, but 10 years old, man, double digits. Congratulations. Keep the fight. The fight goes on with you, Devon. Hey, huh? You like that, right? So happy birthday, belated 10th birthday to my man Devon. I wanted to make sure I got that one out. Also, I want to make sure that people know I got some news on Gleason's Gym. They got we talk about Gleason's all the time, but they moved an annex to Manhattan now, and it looks pretty good. So for all the information about that, check out Gleason's. You can also go on the website. They have a separate website called themercedesclub.com. The interesting thing about this is that they're not looking at this as a gym, even though it's a gym and a workout. They call it the Gleason's training method. And they're looking at this as far as it's a way of life. It's not a fitness center. It's a way of life. And check it out. You'll see what I mean. But congratulations to Gleason's. They keep rocking and rolling as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of rocking and rolling, we had some fights yesterday that took place in Kempton Park. That's in Kempton Park, Africa. I don't know if there's a Kempton Park someplace else, but no, I'm talking about at the Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park. Keith Nkosi knocked out Warren Jobert in the very first round. He won the ABU lightweight title. The official time was 2 minutes and 15 seconds of round one. He improves now to 7 wins and 1 loss. So, wasn't supposed to win because Jobert's record now is 16-3 with 4 draws. So, also on that card, former champion Malcolm Klassen won a 8-round decision over Bongi Makalengu. So congratulations to them. And speaking of fights, we got another fight that's it's probably taking place right now. You know what? These guys are blaming me for what are you blaming me for? Hard-boiled beer. These guys are too much. They're making fun of my jacket. They're making Dan the Man Henderson. He's not even watching. All right, because I know he likes to listen to us talk about him when we play the show back. So when he listens to his premium podcast, but yet he's in here in the chat room slicing me to ribbons. And I thought he was part of the team. Hey, a fight that's probably taking place as we speak, or it's going to. WBA bantamweight champion Koki Kamada, who's sitting on a record of 28-1 with 17 knockouts. He's going to be taking on the interim WBA bantamweight champion in Hugo Ruiz today. So we'll see what happens there. This is a good matchup between these two fighters. And I just wonder what the WBA is going to do when, they have a combined belt, probably elevate him to super champion so they end up with 2 more sanctioning fees. I don't know. Speaking of champions, I haven't talked about the WBC convention or anything like that. I don't like it. I don't like those conventions. I think it's I think it tears away from what, in my opinion, if we got to live with sanctioning bodies, what a sanctioning body should actually do. And, in my opinion, conventions, when I think of a convention, I think of a plumbers convention in Vegas. All the plumbers get together, all the distributors are there, and the guys show up, and they hoot and holler, have a great time, hang out with the ladies, because, there's so many gorgeous ladies in Las Vegas. Hey, man, everybody thinks I want to go out there for boxing. Forget about that. I want to go out there for the women, man. Come on. Well, that's what conventions do, right? They're out there, they're having fun. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You know what that means, right? So, what does it mean when now I'm not saying that the WBC is having their convention in Vegas, because they're not, but, isn't it along the same lines? I mean, you got to pay to get there. What are you getting? You're trying to nuzzle up and get in with the teachers, so to speak, and that's what it's all about, man, and that's wrong. A sanctioning body should be there to crown a champion, and that's it. They should be ranking fighters based on their ability, not on whether their manager slipped them a check or something like that, and it just makes me sick. But what kind of made me sick, but it was like kind of I'm torn. I don't know how I feel about it, but Muhammad Ali was put on display at the convention yesterday, and Suleiman, which I thought was kind of ironic, with the exception of Muhammad Ali and Klitschko, every other person there was like Hispanic, and you got Martinez, you got Chavez, you got this, and you wonder, is Jose Suleiman just a little biased towards the Mexican and Latino fighters? You think? I don't know. Man. But they crowned Muhammad Ali king of boxing, and they brought him up on the stage, and they made him sit in a big, chair, a big, what do they call that? The king's chair, so to speak. They put a crown on his head. They put a jacket on him, a cape or whatever, a fur, a king garb, And they put clips up of his fights, and, he looks like he's in bad shape. Now, obviously, he's still pretty quick with a joke and a one-liner through his wife. I don't know if it was prepared or not, but they were coming out with some one-liners, cutting on Jose Suleiman a little bit. But he was out there, and a couple of things I read were like Klitschko was they all gave a little some accolades and stuff to Ali. And one of the things that struck me the most was the way they described how Vitaly Klitschko, or was it Vitaly? Maybe it was Vlad. It was one of the Klitschko brothers. I think it was Vitaly for some reason, but shook his hand. Yeah, it had to be Vitaly. He's the only one with the WBC belt. Because, see, that's what I'm talking about. Only the WBC champions are allowed at the convention, right? But, Ali, and that's ironic because Ali, I think the first world belt he had was... he had the world heavyweight belt, but then the next one he got, I thought, was the WBA. But anyway, they described the handshake as a real frail, light handshake. And, I know he's ill and everything, but I don't know, man. And maybe I'm totally off base, but, if Muhammad Ali wanted to go there and felt that it would, be an advantage to him or whatever he is promoting or whatever he stands behind or backs or whatever, then fine. But, to put him on the spot and drag him up there, I don't know, man. Leave the guy alone. I mean, but according to his wife, I mean, he genuinely enjoys watching video clips of himself and stuff like that. So yeah, he was officially crowned the king of boxing not in Las Vegas. I said the WBC convention this year. They're having it in Cancun, Mexico. So. It must be nice. 50th anniversary of that, and they're starting to gear who's going to be taking over for Jose Suleiman. Jose Suleiman. Speaking about special stuff, did you see that Manny Pacquiao is going to be? They're going to be presenting a little special. Presentation, not so much of a presentation. It's a show. Excuse me, a little show with Charles Broccoli and Broccoli. I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat later. Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller, two NBA Hall of Famers, with Manny Pacquiao, and I guess they're going to show some footage following the game Thursday night. And we all knew that Manny Pacquiao was a big. Basketball fan. I mean, geez, in his last fight, he wouldn't even come out until the basketball game was over. But apparently, they have some footage of Charles Barkley in the gym with Manny holding the bag and stuff. Now, Charles Barkley is actually a boxing fan. If you recall, he tried to fight a little bit on an NBA court one time against Shaquille O'Neal. So. Maybe he's dreaming, but they claim that they actually have footage of Manny Pacquiao hitting the bag. And, Charles Barkley, who's a big guy, and he's no skinny mini either, he makes me look like Twiggy, if anybody remembers who she was. But the bottom line is, they claim, at least the write-ups claim, that Charles Barkley had to dig in to make sure he didn't move, to get battered around by the little giant Manny Pacquiao. So and then Reggie Miller shot some hoops with him. So they got all of that on tape. I guess we're going to be seeing it Thursday night after a basketball game. They got an NBA doubleheader. So it's a 30-minute special. It's if you want to DVR it, it's called Charles and Reggie Go Toe to Toe with Manny Pacquiao. So we'll see what happens with that one. I want to talk a little about Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez beginning today as the big fight approaches. It is getting the fanfare it should. I'm starting to wonder, about the fight and the outcome and, where each fight is going to go from here, where each fighter is right now. I mean, when you look at these guys, where are they right now in the sport? Juan Manuel Marquez, I hear other fighters, I'm mentioning his name as a possible opponent and everything else. He's 39 years old, man. He's 39 years old. I mean, did people forget that? He's been in boxing for 19 years. I mean, first of all, you got to give him credit for still being at world-class elite level. Paulie Malignaggi, in case you're wondering about an elite fighter, Juan Manuel Marquez, Manny Pacquiao, you know who. They're all elite fighters. Paulie Malignaggi, no. It's like, what fits in? Okay, boys and girls, what fits into this picture? Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. I mentioned his name, sorry. Juan Manuel Marquez, Paulie Malignaggi. Huh? Yeah, right. Come on, man. Come on. But I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But what about the Johan Guzman, Alek Kadervov fight that took place? There's all kinds of stuff going on about that, and they're calling it a big, it shouldn't have happened. Everybody's talking about that this was went against the way what it should have done. It's a big controversy. It's this. It's that. Is it? I mean, come on. Team Guzman claims that a point should have been deducted from Alek Kadervov. Let's just call him Kahib, because I can't pronounce his last name. Kahib. They're saying, a point should have been deducted for roughhouse tactics. Well, he was warned, but no point is deducted. Now, let's talk about point deductions for a second. A referee. Where's Joe Cortez? Hey, can we get Joe Cortez on the phone? Hey, Joe, what do you think, Joe, about point deductions? Oh, okay. Thanks, Joe. Thanks. I mean, listen, the bottom line is this. A referee is not forced to take a point away. They're not forced to take a point away. At times, we want them to, but they're not forced to. Just like they're not forced to disqualify a fighter. At times, they have to. All right? They have to be in control of the fight. Now, what good referees do, if they start to see something going awry, like, roughhouse tactics, illegal punching or something, normally a good referee will stop the action and issue a stern warning. Now, there's different levels of warnings. And I've always liked Steve Farhard's explanation of warnings. Basically along the lines, you get your warning. The fight's happening. You get, if you hit a little low or something, you'll hear the referee or a good referee will say, hey, Joe Schmo, keep him up. That's a little low. That one's straight a little low. Keep him up. Keep him up, And the fighter would nod or something, right? And if it happens again, and if it's, clearly not intentionally, might say, it went low again, okay? Now, so technically you got two warnings, right? Depending upon the fighters, depending upon the fight, depending upon what the judgment of that referee is, it could determine how many times he's going to give that warning, okay? Then the next level warning is the stern warning. Now, a stern warning is the one where they stop the action, all right? And, a referee, stops the action, sends the fighters to the neutral corner, and then grabs the guy that's doing the infraction and will be right in his face and say, I'm warning you. Don't hit below the belt. Don't hit behind the head. Whatever the warning is. Next time, I'm going to take a point away. Now that next time may or may not result in a point deduction. But the stern warning is the one that, stops the action. And if in the middle of the action with the fans yelling and all the adrenaline juices flowing and stuff like that, if you didn't catch the easy warnings prior, well, the stern warning you're catching as a fighter because the referee is in your face and he's telling you, no, like I say to my puppy, no, take that pair of pants out of your mouth. Stop chewing on that furniture, and it's like, they say, no, don't do it, right? And then if it happens again, they can deduct a point. Now, in this case, there were roughhouse tactics, okay? Guzman has been known to go in with his head or anything and stuff like that. So, I mean, and the referee warned Khabib, about the roughhouse tactics. And then when the fight happened, when the fall happened, he kind of, threw him down a little bit. Guzman claimed to have his leg injured. Now, Team Guzman thinks that the fight should have been stopped because he was not able to continue. That's not true. That's definitely not true. An unintentional headbutt happens. The fight doesn't automatically get stopped unless a doctor says it can't. If an unintentional throwdown results in an injury that forces a fighter unable to continue, like Bernard Hopkins' big act with the shoulder, then you have a choice. If the fighter can't continue, just like if a headbutt, if you're telling the doctor I can't see, or if the blood is in your eyes, you go to the scorecards. If it made 4 rounds, if not, it's a no contest. That's not what happened. Okay, he said, "Can you continue?" He continued. No point was deducted. Therefore, no fouls committed. Hold that thought. A warning was, but hold that thought. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
As Billy C. sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. show. He's Billy C., and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. And you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. It's Christmas, man. So we're playing the Christmas tunes. Oh, that's what you got to do, man. Get in the spirit, right? I'm trying not to be a Grinch this year. The Scrooge. You know, it's like my favorite. Scrooge and the Grinch are my two idols. I got to be honest with you. You know, especially that Grinch. You know, it's my favorite. You know, I don't know, man. I like one of the things I do for Christmas. My daughter hates it. You know, she's in her 20s now, and I'm making her suffer through Christmas Carol, every single one. You know, there's like 150 million Christmas carols, versions of Christmas Carol. I like the old ones, man, like the real old ones. You know, when they're trying to make the Christmas spirits scary, and the special effects just, you know, in the 30s and 40s just weren't quite as scary as you move into you know, some of the later Christmas carols. And I know there's one that actually is scary, you know, pretty scary when they have all the spirits and stuff flying around. But I will tell you this, the one you know, Christmas ghost of what's to be, you know, the future. The oldest one, where it's just a black robe and you see this bony finger coming out. You know, that's kind of scary, you know, when you let your imagination go. But anyway, I'm letting my imagination go right now. Guzman, her name is Guzman, and I can't even pronounce it. Khabib. All right, let's just say Khabib. Listen, the bottom line is this: in a fight, you know, if you're going to get injured, if you do get injured, if you're going to get injured, don't fight. No. If you're going to get injured, if you get injured during a fight, now it's just like any other sport. You either have to fight through it or you're going to lose. If it was an illegal injury, if it was caused by an illegal thing, in this case, Team Guzman is claiming, you know, that it was, then, you know, that's a referee's call. You know, if no point was deducted, no disqualification was made, the fight goes to scorecards or you lose. You can't continue. It's like this. It's like a headbutt, right? An unintentional headbutt gets missed by the referee. He calls it a punch. Okay, you can't continue. You lose. Now you go back and you watch the video and you see that it was a headbutt. Sorry. There's no rinse to replay used in boxing. They're not going to reverse it. And if they do, that's wrong. You know, so it's all relative, man. You know, in cases like this, even if it were up to me, even if I even if I incorporated instant replay in the sport, this is the type of thing you can't replay, in my opinion. I think you need to replay two things. Either was the cut caused by a punch or a headbutt, or was it a legitimate knockdown or not? You know, because we see a lot of, because of the lack of training today and the lack of experience the fighters have, we see a lot of fighters stepping on each other's feet a lot. I don't know about you, but I don't ever recall seeing it as much as we see today. You know, you see a southpaw fighting an orthodox fighter. You know, you see that a lot. And you're starting to see a lot more southpaws in the sport. So, you know, those matchups are more common. So you need to be able to police that. You know, if a referee, you know, misses it, you know, and calls it a knockdown, it happened recently. As far as roughhouse tactics, hitting below the belt, was it a foul? Was it clear? Was it this? Was that? I don't know if we should let those go to replay, because then that takes out that human element, and a referee needs to be a human element in the sport. Now, as much as I'm anti-human element for something as crazy as the punch stats, it's a whole different animal. You know, in boxing, you want to be able to have the human element in there. So you got a referee he's calling it the way he sees it. I don't know. I guess there's a discrepancy there. If a referee says that was a legal punch and you go to the replay and you see that it was below the belt, what are you supposed to do? Deduct a point? It's just sketchy. It's real sketchy on what we can do with that. But I tell you, Tyson Fury. I don't know, but I was impressed with Tyson Fury's performance the other day. I'm lucky. I was subjected to Tyson Fury after his third pro fight. We used to have a guy that was involved with the show a little more than he is now, Thomas Newman, and he was over in England, and he turned me on to this guy, Tyson Fury, after his third fight, and started sending me the clips, and from that point on, I started following him, and at first, I got to be honest, I was interested in the act, in the circus act, because here's this guy, he's almost 7 foot tall, white guy, come on, man, 7 foot tall white guy, how good could he be, and I'm watching him fight, and I'm seeing this guy that just look like a big doofus. I mean, come on, to all the guys out there, as you go into school, right? Remember in high school, there was always that kid. There was always that kid that was just bigger than everybody else, but he was a doofus. He grew so fast. By 7th grade, he was 6'5", and couldn't walk a straight line because he was just. It was kind of sad, but he was on the sports teams because he was big and all this stuff. Well, that's the way I look at, and he never really had any definition. I mean, maybe today it's different, but when I was a kid, today they got you what? When did they start giving you supplements and steroids and stuff? Now, what? 5th, 6th grade? Is that when they start? I'm looking at high school football players now that are 6'5", 260 pounds. A kid that's 15, 16 years old. It's like, what the hell was that kid eating? But when I first looked at Tyson Fury, I saw Baby Huey, man. Okay, you got to be old to know who Baby Huey was, but that's who I saw. I saw this big white doofus kid, that looked uncoordinated and had some pop, and he was knocking out all the guys he was supposed to knock out, and I didn't see him getting any better, and as time went on, he was moving up, he was winning the fights, and as far as progression, he was doing all the right things, but he wasn't getting better. He wasn't becoming refined. I didn't see it until about his last handful of fights. Now he's doing he's a lot more serious with strength and conditioning for the first time in this fight against the big fraud, Kevin Johnson. The guy looked like he was in good physical condition. He had muscle tone, something he never had before. Something I noticed about Tyson Fury is that the way his ankles are so small. And, a guy like that, generally, when you see those kinds of little teeny-weeny ankles, means that they can't take a shot, He has taken shots. He's been stunned. He doesn't do the right thing at this point, but he's still really young. He's only I don't even think he's 25 yet, to tell you the truth. I see potential with him. Well, the last fight against Kevin Johnson, he was delivering his jab a lot better. And I thought that was one of his big weaknesses. Now, the big knock on Tyson Fury is that he left the local national scene of Europe, England, rather than fight David Price, who's the other giant white guy that's coming up that's pretty good. But he was criticized. He was criticized. Oh, you didn't fight Price. You moved up. Well, you can't criticize Tyson Fury because he's on the world scene. And David Price is just scraping that world scene now. Well, now Tyson Fury says, "I'll tell you what, you want to keep shooting off your mouth because David Price has been shooting off his mouth after every win, saying that he's more exciting. He won by knockout. People were booing Tyson Fury, and our very own Dan the Man Henderson was calling yesterday from England and told us, he says, listen, these guys start drinking." From the time they wake up, they go to a fight, they're half in the bag, and they want to see, two blokes kick the crap out of each other, And, if there's no knockouts, they're not appreciating the sweet science. Tyson Fury displayed some boxing ability and was trying to implement some of the things he's been working on. And then, by the way, he didn't have a dance partner that was willing to to put on a good show either. So he did what he had to do, And the bottom line is, of course, David Price started shooting off his mouth. Well, now here's the bottom line. The bottom line is Tyson Fury and his team, through his team, said, "We'll fight you, David Price. We'll fight you so bad. We'll take the fight. We want it so bad that we'll actually put off the Klitschko fight or his shot at a world title." Now, we heard Dan the Man. Now, obviously, they're putting a spin on the words, because Dan the Man said yesterday that they are going to have him fight another fight before the title fight, because let's face it, that title fight, there's one other elimination fight that's got to take place first. And the infrequency that fighters fight today. So, they're not going to make Tyson Fury wait one whole year before he fights again to get his world title shot. Now, could they? Yeah, they could. Should they? Maybe, because, he loses a fight and maybe he loses his opportunity. But I think that this, how we always go to the old, risk versus reward line. Well, the risk against Price versus the reward could actually put several million more dollars in Tyson Fury's pocket. And I'm not talking about the fight against Price. I'm talking about to gain more value and fanfare for the ultimate showdown with Klitschko. I think that Price and Fury would be a huge sell, that the two guys would make a lot of money, not only in England, but I think the fight sells here, too. I think Tyson Fury has some fans here, and I actually think David Price has more fans here than Tyson Fury, to be honest with you. At least the people that I talk to, most seem to be more positive about David Price. I am a Tyson Fury fan. I like David Price, too. But honestly, if you ask me who would win the fight, I don't know. I think David Price keeps his hands down too low, and I think that with the improvement of Tyson Fury's jab, and he's got some snap, he's got some pop behind that jab. I think he keeps David Bay. I think he keeps David Price at bay, and could methodically break him down. Does he knock him out? I don't know. I think the only question mark, at least in my opinion, the big question mark for Tyson Fury right now is his ability to take a punch. I've seen him hurt a couple of times. Nevin Pacquiao got him in trouble. That's the only thing I think. I think that's in question. But as far as the fight goes, I'd like to see it. That's for sure. And speaking of fights, I'd like to see. They got some decent fights that are coming up that are scheduled for early next year. And one guy that I know my man Marty Mulcahy likes, and I do myself too, is Scott Quigg. And he's one of Ricky Hatton's guys, and he's going to be coming up. And so is Martin Murray. Now, both these guys have interim belts or next in line belts or whatever, suspended belts. I don't know. But, Martin Murray is the guy that's scheduled to face Sergio Martinez. And that's going to be a tough fight for Martin Murray. It's scheduled in Argentina in April, so we'll see what happens there. As far as Scott Quigg is concerned, I think this kid is going to be rushed. I think they should really. I mean, look at the names that they're talking about with him. Nonito Donaire, Abner Mares, Guillermo Rigondeaux, those three top names in the 122-pound class. Now Nonito Donaire and Abner Mares, those two could actually fight each other because they're under the same promotional banner. But Guillermo Rigondeaux is under Top Rank. So as much as everybody on this planet wants to see Guillermo Rigondeaux and Nonito Donaire, don't be surprised if you see Scott Quigg go in there with Guillermo Rigondeaux. And, as much as I like Rigondeaux, I like this kid, Scott Quigg. And Rigondeaux, he's had a couple of lackluster performances. So has all the other names, except for Abner Mares. I mean, he doesn't, none of his fights are lackluster. So Quigg might find himself in a decent situation because it looks to me that they might want to match up Abner Mares and Nonito Donaire, at least Golden Boy, and then Guillermo Rigondeaux would be still looking for a name opponent, and Scott Quigg might look like the right guy for him, because here's a guy that doesn't have that many pro fights under his belt, Scott Quigg, and then neither does Guillermo Rigondeaux. He doesn't have as many either, so we have to keep all of that in perspective. But anyway, we got some decent undercard fights scheduled for the Manny Pacquiao fight, which we'll get to later in the week. I'm going to start talking about the Manny Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez fight today. But this week we have a great challenge. Now, to kick off, Murphy's pointing out that, don't forget Rigondeaux has 400 amateur fights. Yeah, I know. And he's got a smiley face there, which means I know that he's agreeing with me. They keep throwing that in our face. But you know what? That justified him getting to where he is now. Now, forget about the amateurs. He's in the pros. Murphy thinks that Rigondeaux's too quick for Quigg. Yeah, but we saw Rigondeaux get rocked, man, and Quigg's got some pop behind him. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Rigondeaux, like some other elite fighters, Paulie, get bored when they're matched too easy. I really do. But, the challenge, the Billy C challenge, was a tough one this past week. We actually had the ending of November, which I have not posted the winners yet, of the month of November, and the beginning of December, which most of us didn't do all that great last week. There were a couple of upsets, and everyone seemed to pick the same sides last week. But this week, let's talk about December. Some great fights. Now, first and foremost, Jin-Hoon Kim is back. He's taking on Raimundo Beltran, which is going to be a really good fight on Thursday night. Then Friday, you got Jesse Vargas and Vito Gasparin, and that's going to be on Aztec America. Now, ESPN is actually doing the fights on Thursday. Imagine that. A Friday night fights on Thursday. But that's ESPN. But I think, Jin-Hoon Kim, he's been on ESPN a lot. But Raimundo Beltran, that's going to be a good fight. You got Jose, which is not going to be on our challenge because we usually give the fights out on Thursday. So Jose Nueves against Glenn Porras. That's another decent matchup. We got James DeGalley against Fluenzio Zuniga, which is a really good matchup. Of course, the main event of the weekend, Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez. The co-mains, the undercard on that, Yuriorkis Gamboa against Michael Farinias. That fight, I'm giving Gamboa and 50 Cent kind of a pass on that one because, he hasn't been in the ring in over a year, and he is moving up. So, it is curious to see. Now, Gamboa's weakness really is his chin. Flash knockdowns. He's never seemed to have been hurt. I'm curious to know now under new management if they're finally just realized that Gamboa's Gamboa. That means let him do what he does best, and stop trying to turn a scrambling quarterback into a pocket passer. And if you understand about American football, you'll know where that comparison comes from. I think one of the most underrated fights on the schedule this week is Mercito Gesta against Miguel Vasquez in the lightweight division. That's going to be a good fight, man. Mercito Gesta kind of shocked me. I underestimated this kid, and he's pretty good. I think the Vasquez-Gesta fight is going to be a lot better than people think. Now, Javier Fortuna against Patrick Hyland. Patrick Hyland is under the management of Snooki, and you all know Snooki. She was on this show. As a matter of fact, you can go back and listen to the interview if you want. I actually think it might be up on YouTube, too. She, I don't know, man. Snooki's a cutie, I think. I know she's a ditz, and she's just a bar hopper and everything. Well, she's like this cute little thing, and I don't mean like really hot looking, pretty wise. I just think she's a cutie. She's this little thing, and she's working with Patrick Hyland, and I think that's great. But I think Javier Fortuna might beat him from one corner of the ring to the other. But we'll see. We'll see. One of the fights that unfortunately I'm hoping that most of you out there have DVR, because Bryant Jennings against Bowie Tutupu is going to be a very good fight. And once again, Bryant Bye Jennings, testing himself. He's in there with a pretty legit fighter in Bowie Tutupu. There's no question about that. If you're not familiar with Bowie Tutupu, check him out, because he's a good fighter. And Bryant Jennings, if he beats Bowie Tutupu, I mean, this guy has to move up in the rankings, I would think. Let me see. I'm just looking at mine real quick. We have him in we don't have him in the top 15 yet, but he beats Bowie Tutupu, and I'll tell you right now, he'll be up in the top 15, I would think. That's a good one. And then Luis Ramos against Ricardo Williams on Fox Deportes, not a bad matchup either. So we actually have a pretty good week of fights coming our way. It should have been another week that I was out in Vegas, if you think about it. They had 3 fights. I think were those were all of them in Vegas? I think so. Yeah. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, there's all fights in Vegas. We should have been out there for that. 3 nights of fights again, and that's what happened. No, that's not what happened. They had a Friday and Saturday last time, but it was 3 big fights. Speaking of big fights, I said that fights. The fight schedule does not seem friendly. Well, let me rephrase that. When fighters schedule, when promoters schedule fights during the holidays, they're not usually received well by the boxing fan / ticket buyer. And it was evident that Miguel Cotto's fight in Madison Square Garden, he's a guy that sells the place out, usually packs them in. And Dax Khan, who was ringside for that, told me that it was half full. Miguel Cotto against Austin Trout, a good matchup, half full. So that was first week in December. They announced, and I always love this. Now, I know Jimmy Birchfield had one once, but the Hollywood Fight Night series is putting their last fight together December 21st. So talk about the kiss of death. I would be shocked, and anybody out there that is going to a fight card between now and the new year, let me know. Because, it's just, listen, most of the time, if a guy has got a girlfriend or a wife or something like that, and he goes to the fights with his buddies or whatever, the guy's night out, usually the wife or the girlfriend, they don't care, man. They let the guys go out to their fights. Maybe even you drag your woman with you, if she wants to look all hot and everything, the deal. Every woman that goes to the boxing events, they try to get all dressed up or whatever. So, I mean, if you're going to do that, fine. But generally, it's a guy's night out, right? And let me ask you this. How many wives and girlfriends will let their man go out and spend money on a fight during the holiday season when they could be spending good, hard-earned money on them? I mean, really, it's not going to happen. And this one's not going to do that well, especially when you have a main event like Cleo's Pendarvis is going up against, they call him Mookie, 15 wins, 3 losses, and a couple of draws. He's got 5 knockouts. He's a junior welterweight champ for the USBA, and he's putting his title on the line against Michael Clark. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Michael Clark, didn't there used to be a guy named Michael Clark that used to fight years ago? Wasn't he on the Contender series like back in when it first came out or something like that? Nah, it can't be the same guy because he's got to be 43, right? He's got to be in his 40s, right? Well, guess what? It is the same guy. He's called now Cold Blood Clark. 43 wins, 7 losses, and a draw. 18 of his wins coming by knockout. That's the main event. Good luck with that fight, fellas. I'm not so confident that they're going to sell out that night. That's for sure. But December 21st is when that's going to be taking place. Big fight with Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez this weekend. Of course, we've been talking about this fight. I have my opinions on the fight itself, not so much the outcome right now. I'll be doing that as the week goes on. But, the fight and who to fight could have been against, was there a shelf life on this fight? Are they making the right move by making this fight now? Do people care about this fight? Is it going to do well with numbers? All of these questions are going through my head. The one thing we do know is that Manny Pacquiao is a draw. People outside of the diehard boxing fan, and I know Alex Papali just shut his TV or radio off, or however he's listening to the show. But outside the diehard boxing fan, there's very few fighters that they know. The general sports guy, the guy or gal that watches Monday Night Football, or watches the Super Bowl, or watches the World Series, or watches the NBA Finals, watches a little bit to just talk and be aggravating about, knows who Manny Pacquiao is, knows who Floyd Mayweather is, but that's it. Couldn't tell you anything about Patrick Hyland. Maybe they know Patrick Hyland because of Snooki, but couldn't tell you anything about Klitschko even, or Tyson Fury, anything like that. But Manny Pacquiao still draws. The question is, can he still fight? I mean, is Manny Pacquiao still Manny Pacquiao? And how much longer is he going to hang on? I was talking about the veteranship of these two guys, and we'll break that down in about 2.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. If you want your voice heard on Talking Boxing with Billy C., then call our hotline at 845-228-8710. Leave a voicemail, or you could just tell Billy C. that you like his mustache.
Should I ask you your opinion about this idea?
I'm just trying to give you the encouragement.
Listen, all I need from you is to make sure you don't hang up on people.
And if we like your call, we'll play it back on the air.
Billy, you have the knowledge and wisdom of boxing because of what you do and how well you do it.
Leave your name, hometown, and what you think of the show. 845-228-8710. We want to hear you. Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
And we're back. You're listening the Twisted Sisters version of White Christmas. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show too, but it's Christmas time, so we're going to sprinkle in a couple of Christmas tunes. We got a bunch of these tunes that you guys had sent us over the years, and I'll try and get all of them in. There's a lot of them. People started sending me all this stuff. This one actually, the CD, Twisted Sister. If you guys don't know who they are, it used to be a band that I actually, believe it or not, used to like back in the day, back in the 80s. And, I don't know where I came across the CD, but they had this Christmas album out. And I'm like, Twisted Sister Christmas, and I checked it out. And, true Twisted Sister-like fashion, the Christmas tunes by Dee Snider and the company. It was pretty hard for Christmas stuff, but pretty good. I liked it. But anyway, you need to get Fight Now. That's right. Oh yeah, Fight Now. You need to get Fight Now on your sports channel lineup for this weekend, man. Listen, you've been waiting, you've been holding out. Now's the time, man. Pick up the phone and call your local television provider, whether they're satellite dish or cable, and say, man, I got to have Fight Now turned on now, because this weekend they got extensive coverage. I forget how many hours. Let's see. I forget, but I happen to have it right here. Over 12 hours of additional programming, aside from the preliminary fights and stuff. All these other shows and stuff that we're going to be doing here on Fight Now, getting you geared up and ready for the Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez fight, including our very own post-fight show that we're going to be doing after the fight is over, about 15 minutes after the final bell. We will be on, live. Generally, it's around 1 a.m. So look for us immediately after the fight. I know you guys are going to be all jacked up. Hopefully, we'll be talking about an exciting fight. Hopefully, we won't be talking about another robbery or another controversial fight or whatever. But after all the big fights, there's always some place that you wish you could go. Where can I go talk to somebody? It's 1 a.m. Where can we get other lunatics that are up? Well, you could get it right here on Fight Now, because we're going to be up and we're going to be talking about it. I got people ringside that are going to be calling in. We're going to open up the phone line so you can call in. All of that stuff. So mark it down on your calendar. Schedule it. We want you here. Make the date. Okay? Save the date. Make the date. Be here as soon as the fight is over on Saturday night, early Sunday morning. But guess what? On Friday, between 6:30 and 7 p.m., that's p.m., New York time, Eastern time, we're going to be doing a quick show exclusively on Fight Now that's going to be talking about the weigh-ins, and I will have someone calling us that from the weigh-in. I'm going to try to get some other people booked today. Just found out about this actually today. So we'll get all of that together, and so you got another place to go on Friday. So we're going to kick off this weekend right here on Fight Now with some extensive stuff. So Dave Murphy is in here saying... Dee Snider is he loved that guy. Hey, I forgot to tell everybody our new poll question is about just that. No, not Dee Snider. About who's going to win the fight, man. Manny Pacquiao or Juan Manuel Marquez. Go cast your vote right now. It was just put up, man. It was just put up, and Dave Murphy's telling me that it's 50-50 right now. That's cool, because this morning when I voted, I forgot that it was even posted, and I voted this morning. It was 60-something to 30-something. Marquez was ahead. Marquez was ahead of Manny Pacquiao. So interesting stuff. And when you start to look at these fights, now I know I'm going to break down the fights on Friday. I know we're going to be talking about it all week. We got Joe Santoliquito coming on tomorrow, and Alex Papali, and then Dax Khan is on Thursday, and of course, my main man, Marty Mulcahy, is going to be coming on Friday, and we're going to get everybody's opinions and predictions and all of that stuff. And speaking of predictions, for all, we should have done that, but we should have done that too. But somebody else, I wish would have reminded me, and we could have gotten all of the contributors' predictions and did up a story on that. But if you take the two fighters right here, and you take a look at them, first and foremost, Juan Manuel Marquez, people were talking about Juan Manuel Marquez and, where's he going to go from here and everything else. Juan Manuel Marquez, two fighters were adamant. Actually, in the last couple of years, three fighters were extremely adamant about retiring the day they hit 30. Now, Juan Manuel Marquez isn't really of those three because he hit 39 years ago, but he said he was done last year. Miguel Cotto said he was done on his 30th birthday. He's 32 right now. David Toemaker Hay was also not going to fight a minute after his 30th birthday. He subsequently has fought twice since then. All right, so, and hopefully we'll never see him again, but whatever. Juan Manuel Marquez was another guy that said, I'm done, I'm not fighting anymore. I want one more fight against Manny Pacquiao, and then I'm going to hang it up. And he subsequently fought this year in April when he fought Sergey Finchenko and won a 12-round decision to become the WBO's junior welterweight champion. Now, Juan Manuel Marquez, currently the junior welterweight champ, former world featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight world champion. He's been in boxing now. Here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. 19 years. He's been fighting for 19 years. He's 39 years old. Now, let me ask you a question. If it wasn't Juan Manuel Marquez, and it was Dave Murphy, if Dave Murphy was a fighter and he had a respectable record, a good record, not respectable, a good one, he had a good record, and I told you, and it's the same thing, you heard of him, he maybe he had a belt or two, maybe he holds a belt, I don't know, but he's a good fighter, but if I threw in there, hey, he's going to be 40 years old. He's going to be 40 years old, and he's been a pro. He's going to be entering his 20th year. He's already got 19 years under his belt. Would you think that he was at the top of his game? Would you think that this was a guy that had several years left, or would you be saying that he's already been in his decline? I think most people have to say the latter. That, after 20 years, in this case, 19 years of being in, one of the most brutal sports on the planet, taking those shots. And remember something. Yeah, he's got 61 professional fights under his belt. 61. But he's fought a lot more than 61 fights. I mean, and I'm not even talking about amateurs. All the wars in the gym and the sparring and, all of the wear and tear on your body looks pretty good for a guy that's been around 19 years. Now, he's got 456 rounds as a pro. Like I said, 54 wins, 39 come by knockout, 6 losses, never been stopped, and he's got a draw. In my opinion, this is a guy that's looking to beat Manny Pacquiao. They fought 3 times before, and obviously, all of the fights were controversial in a sense, because many people believe that Juan Manuel Marquez won at least one of them. Some people think he won 2. Some people think he won all 3. I mean, so there's been that hindrance on looking at Juan Manuel Marquez against Manny Pacquiao, and that was one of the reasons why this is still a sellable fight. But when you take a look at it, you're saying to yourself, is this the same Juan Manuel Marquez that fought Manny Pacquiao the very first time? Is it the same guy who fought Manny Pacquiao when they fought that draw in 2004? Is it the same guy that lost to Manny Pacquiao via a split decision in 2008? Is it the same guy that lost a majority decision last year against Manny Pacquiao in 2011? Is it the same guy? Now, the results have all been the same, very close fight. But is Juan Manuel Marquez the same guy? Some people suggest that he's even better. Some people think that he's stronger and all of that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I see a 39-year-old. I see a guy that, the Manny Pacquiao fights. I think styles make fights, but listen. Juan Manuel Marquez is in a better position. This is the bottom line, in my opinion, about the fight. Forget the breakdowns of who's going to win or anything like that. But I believe that Juan Manuel Marquez is in a better position for this fight, win or lose. Why? Well, because, he has been around 19 years. He's not as well known here in the States. I know he's a big name in Mexico, and he's a big name in the boxing community here in the States, but not, Joe Schmo working at the deli, that knows who the New York Yankees are and, has heard of Muhammad Ali, and Mike Tyson, of course, and Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, they're all the big names. But Juan Manuel Marquez might have heard him, but doesn't know much about him. Listen, Juan Manuel Marquez got into this fight to try and beat Manny Pacquiao, but more importantly, wanted another big payday. Let's call a spade a spade. Juan Manuel Marquez wanted another payday, and they've done very well in the past, and Juan Manuel Marquez will get his payday on Saturday. And when you look at Manny Pacquiao, and that's why I mean that Juan Manuel Marquez is in a win-win situation. If he loses, people are going to say what I'm saying right now. He's been a veteran for 19 years. He's been in the wars. I mean, look at this guy's resume. Look who he's fought. Forget Manny Pacquiao. Casillas. Now, keep in perspective when I start naming these names that this is a guy who's a smaller man. So when he's fighting guys like Michael Casillas isn't exactly a technician, but he's a brawler. He puts he puts beatings on people. He fought him. He fought Juan Baby Bull Diaz a couple of times. Beat the guy that was unbeatable at that time. The Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. Listen, I know Floyd Mayweather fans. They constantly throw this fight in my face, and they say he beat him, he dismantled him, he did this, he did that, but he didn't stop him. And the thing is that he didn't stop him because that was the deal. I think Floyd could have stopped him at any time. Really, I do. But I don't really look at that fight. But how about Yoel Casamayor, Rocky Lockridge, Rocky Juarez, Marco Antonio Barrera? Chris John was a questionable fight. Many people think he won that fight. I mean, there's another one he got robbed in. Orlando Salido. Derek Gainer. Remember Derek Gainer? Remember that fight? I mean, that was a pretty decent fight, too, So, this guy, the Robbie Pendon, you go back and Johnny Walker Black. No, just Johnny Walker. When you look at the names on the resume, and we were talking about the Norwood fight, the Freddie Norwood fight. That was in 1999. Listen, this guy has nothing to lose. He's got everything to gain by winning. As far as winning and losing, Manny Pacquiao's got everything to lose in this fight. I still believe that this was a poor business decision on Top Rank's part for this fight. This fight, Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez, does not expire. The shelf life on this does not expire. We've heard this about who and Manny Pacquiao. Oh, the shelf life. People don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. Yes, they do. They do want to see it. I don't care about it, but yes, I want to see it. But the bottom line is that's a shelf life that will expire because, Floyd is going to retire soon. Manny is going to retire next year. It's going to expire. If Manny retired next year and came out a year later and wanted to fight Juan Manuel Marquez for this fourth time, it would sell. This was a mistake, in my opinion, for these guys to do this fight now. I thought that Manny Pacquiao should avenge his loss with Timothy Bradley. Regardless of what we all think, he lost the fight. So now you're going to put Manny Pacquiao in. And by the way, we're talking about Juan Manuel Marquez being a 19-year veteran. He may be 39, and Manny Pacquiao is only 33. Now, in years, that's a 6-year difference, which is substantial in the boxing community. But check this out. Manny Pacquiao's been a pro for 17 years. That's something that you don't really think about when you think of Manny Pacquiao, being around for 17 years. Of course he was successful. 8-division world champion, former world flyweight, super bantam, featherweight, super feather, lightweight, junior welter, junior middleweight, all champions. But by the way, he doesn't have a belt right now. Oh, and did you catch that we were talking about the new belt that WBO invented? They are actually, it's actually on the schedule. Now, BoxRec is not an official record-keeping website, but it's pretty damn accurate. They have it on the schedule that says this is for the WBO Fighter of the Decade Championship. Come on, man. Come on. You know, this is how foolish the networks are. Did we really need that belt? And who's paying that sanctioning fee? I'm hoping that the WBO is just like throwing this at them. Because is Top Rank going to pay for that? For Manny Pacquiao? Is Juan Manuel Marquez going to pay for that? These two guys don't give a crap about those belts. They have so many belts they could hold up every single fireman's pants and get rid of the suspenders, man. Because they have too many belts between the two of them. You know, there's no way that we needed another belt on the line. Or did we? Because maybe the execs, maybe the suits at HBO pay-per-view decided that, you know what, nobody's going to buy this pay-per-view unless there's a title on the line. Well, they could have put Juan Manuel Marquez's title on the line, couldn't they? Doesn't he still have the title? Yeah, I mean, he only fought in April. Did he vacate that title? I don't even know. I don't even follow that anymore. You know, I mean, do you really think that people wouldn't buy this fight because there was no title belt on the line? That's absurd. It's totally absurd. Manny Pacquiao has a lot to lose in this fight. If Manny Pacquiao loses this fight, where does he go from here? You know, I mean, let me ask you a question. This is the most daunting question for me. You know, both of these guys, the loser, right? If it's Juan Manuel Marquez, you know, and the fight is similar to the other three, he's going to go home with a moral victory because people are going to still say, you won, you got robbed again. You know, okay? So, you know, he's got nothing to be ashamed of. And he probably retires. If Manny Pacquiao loses this fight, you know, his value may not go down as much as you might think if it were anyone else, but he's going to lose some points. There's no question about that. And then the big list of, you know, who's he going to fight, you know. But the main thing is this, with both of these fighters, regardless of who wins or loses, I just don't think that either one have the mentality that they are going to become that test, that gauge, that, dare I say it, the journeyman, the gatekeeper of boxing for their division. Can you see Juan Manuel Marquez? The guys that are calling him out, you know, the Paulie Malignaggi's that referred to himself as an elite fighter like Juan Manuel Marquez, which is an utter joke. You know, could you see Juan Manuel Marquez, you know, coming back to fight these guys? I mean, you know, Glenn Johnson retired after he lost to Fonfara, and we figured that was it. And, you know, I gave him all the accolades. It was, you know, if I could, I would have given him a standing ovation right on the show here. But you know, it didn't last long. You know, 3-4 months later, he's coming back. You know, he's fighting soon, right? You know, and he's become that. But he's a different guy. He's a guy that you know, Bernard Hopkins. You know, another example. Glenn Johnson, Bernard Hopkins, throwback fighters, right? Former world champions. You know, fighters that still bring it at the ripe old age of over 40, right? But let's face it. Now, maybe neither one of them would admit it. Maybe Glenn Johnson, because he's more of a realist than B-Hop. But neither would admit exactly what they've become. And they've become journeymen, gauges, gatekeepers, whatever you want to call it. I can't see Juan Manuel Marquez or Manny Pacquiao filling that role. Especially Manny Pacquiao, who's got rock star status in the Philippines. Who's got rock star status here in the United States? Did you see he's doing another commercial? He did the Hewlett-Packard commercial. Now I forget what he's selling. He's knocking something out. He's punching something in, I don't know, popcorn, whatever. He's selling something. One of these guys probably know. In the Dave Murphy just has one. I got to give him this credit. We got to say this on air. He says what he really wants to know is that the belt, is it the actual WBO Fighter of the Decade Championship, or is it the interim WBO Fighter of the Decade Championship? Now that is a good one, and that gets credited to Dave Murphy. I like that. You know, I thought, but Dave, then after that, they might have the champion of the decade in recess champion, right? They might have the Fighter of the Decade champion in recess belt. So, but anyway, I think Manny Pacquiao. The bottom line is this. Manny Pacquiao has to win decisively. If he wins decisively, we're going to see the fight. You know, the fight. We're going to see Floyd against Manny. It's going to happen if Manny looks good. But then again, maybe not. If Manny wins and doesn't look good, maybe that's when we see the fight. You know, Floyd's not going to want to end his career fighting somebody that might beat him. That's why I don't think, you know, they're talking about negotiating with Robert the Ghost Guerrero and all, and it's, I'm not so sure. But if Manny looks too good, maybe Floyd doesn't fight him. You know, personally, I mean, Manny hasn't looked good, you know, hasn't looked good. He didn't look good against Timothy Bradley. He certainly didn't look good against the Marquez fight. He didn't look good against Shane Mosley. They looked like they were going to get a hotel room together. And the fight against Margarito, the fight against Antonio Margarito, he gave him, he opened up a can of you-know-what on him. But he looked good in that fight. He definitely looked good in that fight. There's no question about that. I thought, he looked real good against Cotto and Ricky Hatton, but I think you got to go. That's when he was really dominating. You know, in 2008, 2009, and 2010, those 3 years was at the peak of Manny Pacquiao's career. I mean, after Oscar De La Hoya in 2008, when he destroyed Oscar, he takes out Ricky Hatton. He brutally destroys Miguel Cotto. Joshua Clottey, nobody gives him credit for that fight, but Clottey was a tough opponent. The Antonio Margarito beatdown that he gave to him. Then the last three, Shane Mosley, Marquez, and Timothy Bradley, all shared one thing in common. It was after he was a congressman. And I believe that since now he's been subjected with, dealing with, humanitarian issues, that he's lost that killer instinct. Manny Pacquiao needs the killer instinct on Saturday night. If he doesn't have it, he may forget about the big fight. And should Manny Pacquiao beat Juan Manuel Marquez on Saturday, and if they don't secure that big fight with you-know-who, then the only other fight he's going to have is going to be the one that I guess no one but me wants to see, and that's Timothy Bradley. So we'll have to wait. We'll talk more about this fight, break it down some more, get other opinions later in the week. But now,
wake up. It's time for the It's Too Early for a Trivia Question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Give them a call today, 718-797-2872. And speaking of Gleason's, don't forget, they got the new place open now in Manhattan. So all the information about the new gym can be found at Gleason's. You can call them, 718-797-2872, or drop by our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason Gym banners. The trivia question yesterday, which I thought was a tough one, was not so tough. I got many correct answers, but my man Henry Haskell was the first one again. That means he's only got one more to go to get the book, and that's going to be today's question. The question yesterday was, what former world champion boxed 5 consecutive draws of 20 or 25 rounds? The answer, is Dave Sullivan. He was a world featherweight champion. He boxed 5 consecutive bouts in 1899 that were all draws. 3 of them were 25-rounders, and 2 were 20-rounders. So congratulations to Henry Haskup and everybody else who got it right. But Henry, he's on the line right now for the book, if he can get today's correct. And by the way, he's also got to be the first. So if anybody else knows this, get the answer in, damn it. I don't want to send this book to him. I'm only kidding. I'll send it to him, but I'd much rather have another winner, because the other winner would get the Title Bout Championship computer game. But the question is this. And, this is kind of a cheat question, because I think I just asked this one. And I should have probably looked before I put it on the stack. But who said a lot and was kind of known for it? Who said, always on the level, yours very truly? Who said that? If you know who said that, email me, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Who coined it, I guess you could say that. Always on the level, yours very truly, so-and-so. If you know the answer, email me, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
Dave Murphy is saying that we should just start giving all the trivia questions to Henry Haskup. Actually, we're going to start letting Henry, after the first of the year, I think I'm going to try to work something out and then see if Henry is willing to ask us the questions. He can start providing us the questions. Anyway, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. Call him today, and by the way, tell him that Billy C sent you, and then I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Call him right now, 845-221-4099. On this day, December 4th in 1993, Kevin Kelly wins a 12-round decision over Goyo Vargas to win the WBC World Featherweight title, and that took place on this day, December 4th in 1993, in Reno, Nevada. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. Make sure you tune in. Tomorrow's going to be a good one. We got the blast from the past, Charlie Burley, a guy you hear me talking about a lot about. We'll be talking about him and a lot of other stuff tomorrow, so make sure you come here. I do have one other thing to say. You know what it is? Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. That's the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call for all the information about the channel. You can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.